This is Joe Pugh for IFLTV. We are here in Birmingham for Liam Davies versus Shabaz Masoud. Takes place at BP Pulse Arena, formerly known as Resorts World, tomorrow night, live on TNT. Mr. Frank Smith, how are you? It's been a while, actually.
I'm very good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Very well. Going into former enemy territory once again. But anybody who knows boxing knows this is an absolute cracker tomorrow night between Liam Davies and Shabaz Masoud for that IBO title.
Yeah, a proper fight, a real fight, and the kind of fights we want to see more of, and shows that the relationship, being the way it is now, is good for the sport. We're making real fights. Shabaz knows it's a tough fight. Liam Davies is a tremendous fighter, big puncher, but Shabaz can go in there and do the job and, sets up some huge opportunities for him off the back of this.
Shabaz had a little bit of a stop-start last 12 months. I think he was meant to fight in Liverpool, fell ill, and then the fight was meant to happen with Liam Davies earlier on in the year. I know Shabaz still fought on the card, but is this the real springboard to those massive, massive fights? I know you got Anui Goodman going on there. That whole division is thriving.
Yeah, look, I think, he had a frustrating time beforehand. Then he came over, like you say, Liverpool show, pulled out late, but then we got him out, I think 3 or 4 weeks later. He headlined the show. It wasn't the best of performances, I'll be honest with you, in that show, but he'd been out the ring a long time and then was supposed to fight Davies in July, stayed on the show when Liam pulled out. So he's been active enough, and he goes into this, and this is the kind of fight he needs to win. I think, like a lot of fighters, when the level steps up, the fighter steps up. Sometimes fighters find it hard to get motivated for fights where they feel like they're favourite, they feel like it's easy. He knows this is a real fight. And it's a great division for him to be in. There's huge opportunity. You've got McGrail against McCann in just a few weeks, another Matchroom v Queensbury fight there in the division as well. You've got Inoue Goodman, as you say. Inoue could possibly vacate the belts as well at any point. MJ Medvedev, a guy we promote as well, fights for the WBA interim on the Monaco show. So there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of big fights to be made. He's got to get through Saturday night, but he knows what's on the other side of it.
Yeah, let's talk about the Monte Carlo show. Fantastic. I think probably on paper it's one of the best you've done in a good few years. Gary Cully, Maxie Hughes, Beatrix Ferreira on the card, Siobhan Clark. Real strong card for the back end of this year. Yeah,
look, I love that Maxie Hughes fight against Gary Cully. Gary Cully, you've been rebuilding him off the back of that loss now, and this is the kind of fight he needs to go into, a real fight that then sets him up for a big fight next year. Maxie Hughes has been in there with a lot of great fighters. So yeah, that's a great clash on there. Beatrice Ferreira's back out off the back of the Paris Olympics, where she won another medal as well. Chev Clark for the European title, keeps building, keeps growing. What a run he's been on. He fought in Belfast back in January. Then he fought on the Taylor Castro undercard. Then he fought in LA, and now he's in Monaco. So what a journey he's been on, and a big fight for him if he can win the European title as well, because he won't put himself far off from challenging for those world titles off the back of that as well. MJ Medvedev, someone frustrating for him, and hasn't got the Inoue shot, but the key was to keep him active, keep him busy. So a great night in Monaco. Excited to be back there.
I want to reel off a few things before you go for your Nando's, because you have been sitting here for about an hour, Frank. Next week, the two kings, Boots and Bam, fantastic card. And to have two fighters of that level on the same card is going to be something special in Philadelphia next week, isn't it?
Yeah, look, we had an amazing night back in Philadelphia when we signed Jaron in July. A packed audience. It will be at the Wells Fargo again this time round. And yeah, two brilliant fighters coming together on that card. Boots and Bam, two pound-for-pound stars, young guys who are going to, for a long time, be ruling this sport. So to see that kind of talent on show, we've seen the promos, we've seen the artwork, them on their thrones. It's an exciting fight. Boots wants to go out there and prove himself even and get that win against Karen even quicker than he did the first time round. Bam's got his WBC mandatory. And there's big fights for both of these guys. We've got to look for unifications after this for Boots. And Bam wants the biggest nights as well, wherever that may be.
I want to go back to last week with Catterall Brogray. It feels like the 140 division. You've got Paro Hitchens coming up. Obviously, last year you had Brogray Haney. It's just thriving. Is it just at this point getting the fights made and more importantly, getting Jack Catterall that world title shot that he definitely deserves.
Yeah, look, we want to make the biggest fights. It was an amazing night back at the Co-op, that first fight night at the Co-op. Great atmosphere in there, and I really feel like Jack's building something as well. Fair play Regis Prograis, because he kept on going. You know, he kept on coming. The first 4 rounds quite cagey, but after that, a brilliant fight. You know, and I think for us now, we've got to deliver a world title fight for Jack Catterall. That's our aim. That's our focus. We've been on a great run with him. You know, we signed him back in, I think we've had 3 or 4 fights with him now. And that's got to be what we got to deliver for him. It's great time in the 140 division, as you say. Paro Hitchins in Puerto Rico on December 7th. Teofimo's, I don't know, talk about maybe he goes to 147. He's got his issues with Top Rank, I think, at the minute. Devin Haney. You know, there's so many fights to be made in and around there, and it's an exciting time. We're going to continue to sign 140 fighters because we're excited about the division.
Someone who's probably kind of bordering that mix is Dalton Smith. Have we got an update on what's next for Dalton?
Yeah, look, we're just waiting for him to get fit. And look, with fighters, you know, for someone like Dalton, who's been on a tremendous run, you want him to go into every fight 100%. It's the most important part of his career, you know, and he needs to be 100%. He obviously had his injury that ruled him out in September. There was talk about him headlining Monaco, but he wasn't ready. So now we're just getting him back, getting him, you know, he's got an injury he's working through. And as soon as we've got news, he'll be back in the ring. You know, it's frustrating for him, but he's got to make the right decisions now rather than rush in and do something wrong at this stage of his career. You know, that's a very, very important point.
In the build-up to the Adam Azim O'Hara Davies fight a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to Ben Shalom and he said that Dalton needs Adam, not the other way round. Yeah, just get your response to that comment.
I think it's an utter load of bollocks, like most of the stuff that comes out the geezer's mouth. Had about 3,000 and a bit people in the copper box the other week, and you know that was sold mostly. But by the way, I think this isn't Adam Azim. No. By the way, I think he's a tremendous fighter. I think the performance against O'Hara Davies was the best we've seen to date. I think he's very good. He's not a superstar. You know, he's not a superstar. There was, you know, 3,000 and a bit people in there. The viewing figures off the back of the football, I think it did 180,000 viewers off the back of the football. It had an 87,000. I get all this information. It's all public. It's all out there. Had an 87,000 average audience. You know, like that's not superstar numbers. Respectfully, Dalton Smith does not need Adam Azim. Dalton Smith had 5,000 people, 6,000 people at his last show at Sheffield Arena. He's on a path where he's close to fighting for world titles. It's a great fight. It's a fight we'd love to make. We believe Dalton Smith beats him now. We believe Dalton Smith beats him in the future. But, you know, it's a load of rubbish.
Could the winner of that fight become a superstar?
Yeah, they both got the, you know, like Dalton Smith is on the trajectory, like he's building into that place. Yes, anyone can become a superstar, obviously. But it's all a lot of bluff that they're talking. They don't want the Dalton Smith fight. Yeah, we'll do it next year. Next year. But not next. But maybe next year we'll do it. But, like, you don't have to look at, like, who's the people that have called for it? Who's the people that have been open to doing it, you know, when the purse bids were there? We didn't pull out. Dalton Smith hasn't pulled out. Dalton Smith is a proper fighter. Again, I'm not saying Adam Azim is not. I'm sure Adam Azim would have personally taken that fight, you know. But for whatever reason, it hasn't happened time and time again. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realise what that reason is.
Over the past 12 months, forming kind of an allegiance with Queensbury and Frank Warren, would you now say boxers your biggest promotional rival, certainly from a UK perspective?
I don't look at them as a rival. I think they've done 7 shows this year in the UK. That's not someone I look at as a promotional rival, in all honesty. You know, as in, like, there's been less boxing, obviously, in the UK because of Riyadh season. They would have done 2 shows between July and December. I think they did one in August with Callum Simpson. I think they did October. I don't think they've got another show this year. I don't really look at them as a rival. They've got 7 months left with their Sky deal, 8 months left with their Sky deal. I'm sure that'll be all over, and then the dream will be over. But I want people to succeed. I'm not like a...
You're not a hater.
I'm not a hater. Honestly, like, there's so many people I work with in the sport, but my views are very open about why, you know, like, you can't say all these things on camera and then not follow up on them, you know, like, and I don't think they have been beneficial for the sport, in all honesty. It's just my honest opinion. You know, I think the relationship with us and Queensbury now is something that's real. You know, we actually get on and we make good fights and we do business quickly. You know, it's not, don't get me wrong, what brought us together was huge event. You know, Riyadh season brought us together, yes, 100%, and money was obviously involved in that. But now we've shown that we can do good business together. Look at this fight on Saturday night, a brilliant fight between two brilliant fighters, and we will do fights that headline on our shows, they will do, and it's good for the sport.
Last one, update on Anthony Joshua. Now, very likely that he won't be fighting Daniel Dubois next.
Yeah, I think it's more about timings. You know, February was the timing. He can't be fit and ready and get into camp in time for a fight in February. So it's not about Daniel Dubois, it's about being ready. He wants the biggest fights. It's not about interim fights. It's not about, he wants the biggest fights possible, but he has to. It's a bit like what I said about Dalton Smith as an example. You know, it's a stage of their careers where this is Anthony's chance now. Like, he's coming off the back of the Daniel Dubois loss. The better man won on the night. People say, write him off, say he's finished, like they've done in the past, like they've done with so many fighters. I believe he can still go on and become world champion. I believe he can still go on and beat Tyson Fury, all these fights. But he has to prove himself. But to go and improve himself, he has to be 100%. And that's the focus.
Now we'll shift the focus to Nando's. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers. Cheers.